Have you ever wondered, why do some people remain calm in the middle of a storm, while others crumble at just a careless word? Why do some stand firm in the face of adversity, while others collapse before the smallest challenge? Could there be a hidden secret, a kind of superpower, that allows us to walk through chaos with a steady heart and a clear mind? More than 2,000 years ago, in the vast squares of ancient Rome and the philosophical schools of Greece, a group of wise sages discovered the key to mastering life. They called it Stoicism. But this is not a philosophy to be read. It is an art of living, a compass that guides us to peace within and strength in action. Stoicism never promises a life without storms. Instead, it teaches you how to stand firm in the storm. It gives you a silent strength, the power to master yourself when the world outside is in chaos. Picture this. Tomorrow, life throws at you a failure, a rejection, or an unexpected storm. You could panic, get angry, blame others. Or you could smile, stand firm, and choose a wiser response. That is the strength Stoicism wants to give you. An ancient superpower, yet one we may have forgotten how to activate. If you are looking for a compass to master yourself, to live stronger and deeper every day, then subscribe to this channel now, because this may be the journey that changes how you see life, starting from within. In today's world, where chaos seems never-ending, Stoicism becomes a lighthouse. It reminds you, you cannot control the world, but you can always control yourself. Our journey begins here, a journey to unlock inner strength, a journey to master your emotions, your thoughts, and your choices. And now, let us explore together 12 Stoic principles to master your life. 1. Control what you can control. Imagine this. You're on your way to an important meeting. Time is running out, but suddenly the traffic ahead comes to a complete standstill. Car horns blare, the heat rises around you, and you know you're going to be late. In that moment, you have two choices. Get angry, frustrated, and keep honking your horn, or calmly accept the situation, take a deep breath, and use the time to listen to music, reflect on your presentation, or simply let your mind rest. The situation hasn't changed, but your emotions, your state of mind, and ultimately your outcome will be entirely different. More than 2,000 years ago, Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The world outside is full of things beyond your control. The weather, unexpected events, the opinions of others, even love and fate itself. But there is one thing you can always master: your choice of response. When you let go of the desire to control everything and focus instead on mastering yourself, you discover a deep inner freedom. Life doesn't suddenly become less chaotic, but your mind becomes unshakable. Remember, you cannot decide what happens to you, but you can decide who you become from it. 2. Challenges shape the will. When you begin to master your reactions, you'll notice something strange. The world no longer feels as frightening as it once did. The things that used to make you angry, anxious, or hurt now fade into nothing more than echoes behind a closed door. And then you start to see challenges through different eyes. No longer as obstacles to complain about, but as opportunities to forge your inner strength. Because the more you face adversity, the more you realize a profound truth. Adversity is the place where the will is formed. There are moments in life when everything seems to collapse. You lose an opportunity, a relationship, or a dream you had placed all your faith in. Your heart feels heavy. Your mind spins with the question, why me? Yet it is precisely in those moments, when the darkness seems to consume you, that the seed of willpower begins to sprout. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and great Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "The obstacle to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." What he meant was simple yet profound. Challenges are not walls that block us, but steps that raise us toward a stronger version of ourselves. Stoicism teaches that when life throws an obstacle at you, you have two choices: blame fate and be dragged down, or look it square in the eye, learn from it, and turn it into fuel to move forward. Adversity does not break you. It is your perception and response to it that decides who you become. Think about your past failures. At the time, they may have caused pain. But looking back now, you realize they forged strength, patience, and resilience within you. Challenges don't take away your worth. They refine you. Willpower is not born in comfort. It is forged in the fire of trials. Embrace the obstacles that come your way. Don't fear them, for they are the greatest teachers. And when you overcome them, you'll find that the person you've been searching for has always been there, waiting to be awakened. Every adversity leaves you with a gift, if you are clear-eyed enough to see it. And the greatest gift of all is willpower. The force that allows you to go further, endure longer, and live more intentionally. 3. Live fully in the present moment. In daily life, we are often drowned in endless worries, unfinished plans for the future, or memories that have already faded into the past. Our minds drift between what has not yet arrived and what can never return, while the present, the only thing truly happening, is quietly forgotten. You might be sitting on a fresh morning, sunlight streaming through the window, yet your head is filled with thoughts of this afternoon's meetings. Or when speaking with your loved ones, your eyes are on them, but your mind is wandering elsewhere. And so, the real moments of life slip away, leaving no trace behind. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Focus on the present." For the Stoics, living is a conscious act. They refuse to be swept away by what lies outside their control. Instead, they choose to pause, to breathe, to listen, to experience each moment as if it were the only one left in existence. Living fully in the present does not mean abandoning plans or neglecting responsibilities. It means giving your complete attention to whatever you are doing, whether it is brewing a cup of tea, stepping outside for a walk, or simply listening to the rhythm of your own heartbeat. Stoicism reminds us, the present is the only gift life places in your hands. And if you live deeply in each moment, you will not merely exist, you will truly live. 4. Don't suffer in imagination. When we learn to live fully in the present, many burdens suddenly fall away. And yet there is still an invisible enemy that often creeps into our minds, the fears we create in our own imagination. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Think back to a time you were waiting for the results of an exam, a job interview, or an important meeting. In your mind, you might have created endless worst-case scenarios: failure, embarrassment, rejection. Your heart raced, sweat poured, and your mind spiraled out of control. But when the event actually happened, you realized it was nowhere near as terrible as you had imagined. Our minds have a habit of magnifying risks, turning a single grain of sand into an entire desert. And it is these imagined scenarios that erode our peace more than reality itself. Stoicism teaches us another way. Instead of being swept away by waves of imagination, pause and ask yourself, how serious is the worst-case scenario, really? Am I making this bigger than it actually is? And, most importantly, is this truly within my control? When you answer honestly, you'll see that most of what we fear doesn't actually exist. They are nothing but phantoms in our minds, disappearing the moment we shine the light of reason on them. The Stoics did not deny fear. They looked at it directly, analyzed it, and shrunk it back down to its real size. And when fear is illuminated, you realize it's not the external event that hurts you, it's the story you tell yourself about that event. Try this practice. The next time your mind begins spinning dark scenarios, take a deep breath and remind yourself, this is only imagination. Reality may not be like this at all. And then you'll see, when you stop suffering in imagination, life becomes lighter. You no longer live through the same pain twice, once in your mind and once in reality. You live only with what is truly happening, and in that, you find peace. 5. Practice self-discipline. When you learn not to let imagination create extra suffering, you come closer to inner freedom. But freedom does not mean indulgence. On the contrary, lasting freedom can only be achieved when we practice self-discipline. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Discipline is the reins that allow us to control the wild horse of desire and emotion. Without it, we are easily carried away by laziness, bad habits, or fleeting pleasures. With it, we take command of our path, instead of being dragged along by instant gratification. Picture a cold morning. The alarm rings, but the warmth of your blanket clings to you. In that moment, there are two voices inside you. One whispers, "Sleep a little longer, just 5 more minutes." The other insists, "Get up. You promised yourself you would train. Don't betray that promise." Which voice you choose to follow, that is the moment you practice discipline. And it is from these small victories that a resilient spirit is built. The Stoics did not see discipline as a chain. They saw it as liberation, freedom from being a slave to fleeting urges and emotions. Because if you cannot say no to temptation, are you truly free? Only when you can govern yourself are you genuinely free. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Discipline is not always easy. It demands that you choose the hard path over the easy one, long-term growth over short-term comfort. But every small action today, waking early, reading, training, keeping your word, is a brick laid in building the stronger version of yourself for tomorrow. Remember this. Discipline is the key that unlocks inner strength. Without discipline, freedom is just an illusion. With discipline, you truly become the master of yourself. 6. Build emotional resilience. Discipline helps us master ourselves. But what happens if you can keep habits in check, yet still collapse at a single criticism, a cold glance, or an unexpected betrayal? That is why you need another kind of armor: emotional resilience. Epictetus once said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them." The same event can bring two completely different reactions. One person may see harsh criticism as an insult, while another calmly takes what is useful, analyzes it, and discards the rest. The difference lies in how they choose to interpret it. Emotional resilience is not suppression, nor is it numbness. The Stoics taught us to recognize our emotions, anger, sadness, hurt, but not to let them control our actions. Marcus Aurelius faced countless enemies, even betrayal within his own court. Yet in Meditations he wrote, "The wrong of another is their burden. I am only responsible for my own response." Because of this mindset, he maintained composure to govern an empire, rather than drowning in resentment. And so can you. Life will never stop presenting challenges. A thoughtless remark, an unforeseen failure, a sudden loss. You cannot stop the storms, but you can learn to stand firm. Whenever emotions threaten to erupt, remember, you have the power to choose your response. You have the power to reduce an event to its true size instead of magnifying it with emotion. And you have the power to preserve your peace no matter what happens outside. Emotional resilience isn't built in a day. It grows from every choice you make to stay calm instead of rash, to understand instead of rage, to forgive instead of retaliate. Each small choice is a brick in the fortress of your inner self. And once that fortress stands, you will realize no one truly has the power to hurt you. Only you decide the state of your peace. 7. Remember the finiteness of life. Memento mori. You have learned to master your emotions, to keep your mind steady in the face of turmoil. But there is one truth that people often avoid, a truth that can completely change the way you live each day. That truth is this: we are not immortal. The ancient Romans had a phrase both haunting and awakening. Memento mori. Remember that you must die. This phrase reminds us of the brevity and fragility of life. It urges us to reflect on death, not to despair, but to live more fully, to focus on what truly matters, and to cherish the present rather than being paralyzed by fear or gloom. Marcus Aurelius once wrote in Meditations, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." Ask yourself, if today were your last day, how would you live? Would you still waste hours scrolling mindlessly on your phone? Would you still cling to anger over trivial matters? Or would you spend every moment loving, showing gratitude, and living true to your values? Death is not the enemy. It is a mirror that shows us what is truly important. Seneca once wrote On the Shortness of Life, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." When you remember life's finiteness, you begin to treasure every moment, every breath, every glance, every embrace. You choose what is meaningful, rather than chasing endless illusions. Memento mori does not call us to despair. It calls us to awaken. It reminds us that every day is a gift, and how you use that gift will determine the quality of your life. Each morning, ask yourself, if today were my last, how would I live? The answer will give you clarity that no plan could ever provide. 8. Practice gratitude. When you become aware of life's finiteness, you begin to see each moment through different eyes. Suddenly, everything around you becomes priceless, from the rays of morning sunlight to the simplest smile. Marcus Aurelius once wrote in Meditations, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." But ask yourself, when was the last time you truly felt grateful for a single breath, a cup of water, or a simple conversation? We often wait for great achievements or extraordinary moments before we feel they are worth our gratitude. Yet it is the small, repeated moments of daily life that form the foundation of a happy existence. Think of this. One morning you rush out of the house, your mind consumed by work, goals, endless meetings. You pass by the clear blue sky, the whispering trees, and the smile of a child on the street. Everything is there, yet you fail to notice because your heart is closed. Gratitude does not erase difficulties, but it changes how you see them. A criticism becomes an opportunity to improve. A failure becomes a lesson. Even adversity can become a gift if you choose to view it with gratitude. The Stoics practiced gratitude as part of their mental discipline. Each day they would write down things, small but precious, to be thankful for. It wasn't just a habit, it was a way of training their eyes to see beauty in simplicity. Seneca once reminded us in Letters to Lucilius, "No man is truly happy who does not thank for what he has." You don't need to wait until you have more to feel abundance. All you need to do is pause. Take a deep breath and realize, in this very moment you already have countless things to be grateful for. And when gratitude becomes the rhythm of your breath, each day of your life will no longer be mere existence. It will be a true gift. 9. Strive for personal excellence. When you learn to be grateful for each moment, you realize life is not just about existing. It's about becoming. And who you become is not dictated by fate, but by the choices you make every day. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself in Meditations, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." We often fall into the trap of comparison. Comparing ourselves with coworkers, comparing our lives to the polished images on social media, comparing our success with the expectations of others. But for the Stoics, the measure was never other people. It was always themselves. They asked only, "Am I better today than I was yesterday?" Personal excellence is not about loud victories, but about thousands of small choices made every day. Choosing to move forward instead of stepping back. Choosing to listen instead of interrupting. Choosing to keep a promise instead of searching for excuses. Just think about a jeweler at work. He patiently polishes each detail again and again until roughness becomes refinement. He does not need applause, but his persistence makes him a master. Your life is the same. Excellence does not sprout in a single moment. It grows from discipline, perseverance, and honesty with yourself. Seneca once wrote in Letters to Lucilius, "Act as if you are living today, as if it were your entire life. Because if you live each day fully, then in the end you will look back and see a life worth being proud of." Personal excellence is not for the admiration of others. It is the gift you give to yourself. And when you live with that kind of steadfastness, you will no longer need to seek recognition. For the way you live, the way you love, the way you overcome trials, these will speak louder than words. Not through speeches, but through your entire life, a life that makes others fall silent and think to themselves. This is the true strength of a person who masters himself. 10. Learn to live simply. As you strive for personal excellence, you come to realize a paradox. The more you possess, the less free you are. In truth, the less you depend on desire, the more peace you find. Seneca once said in Letters to Lucilius, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." We live in a world that constantly urges us, buy this, achieve that, own more to keep up with others. But ask yourself, how many times have you achieved what you longed for, only to soon feel empty and crave more again? Desire is like a bottomless pit. The more you pour into it, the emptier it becomes. The Stoics chose a different path: simplicity. Simplicity does not mean abandoning comfort. It means knowing the difference between what is truly essential and what is merely a burden. Imagine carrying a backpack for a long journey. If you stuff it with unnecessary items, you will quickly tire. But if you carry only what truly matters, you'll walk lighter, freer, and farther. Life is the same. The fewer burdens of desire you carry, the more peace you will have to walk your path. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself in Meditations, "True wealth is to live content with little." When you learn to be content, you free yourself from the chains of endless wanting and discover tranquility in each moment. Simplicity does not make you smaller. On the contrary, it makes you greater, for you are no longer a slave to desire, but the master of yourself. 11. Practice kindness and justice. When you have set down the burden of desire, your soul becomes like a garden cleared of weeds, and that is when you can plant the most beautiful seeds: kindness and justice. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself in Meditations, "Be strict with yourself, but tolerant with others." The Stoics understood that true strength lies not only in mastering oneself, but also in how we treat the world around us. A great soul is not one that always conquers, but one that brings peace to others. Epictetus once said in Discourses, "We are all brothers, since we share in reason and are born of the same divine source." This means that every human being deserves respect, regardless of status or circumstance. To practice kindness does not mean to be weak. On the contrary, it requires great strength, not to return hatred with hatred, not to become a mere reflection of those who hurt us. Kindness is the choice of those strong enough to rise above the ego. And justice, it is the measure of a straight soul. It does not allow us to exploit the weak, nor to close our eyes to wrongdoing. Justice begins with the small things: keeping your word, paying fair wages, treating a servant with dignity, and respecting the person before you. Seneca once wrote in Letters to Lucilius, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." Remember, a great life is not measured only by personal achievements, but by the mark we leave in the hearts of others. When you live with kindness and justice, you not only master yourself, you become a light that illuminates your community. 12. Control your response. Master your life. Think back to the moment you were insulted by someone's words, or when your plans suddenly fell apart. In those situations, you could grow angry, despair, or you could remain calm and choose a wiser response. And in that very moment, your life takes a different path. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The world outside will never be perfect. There will always be people who disappoint you, adversities that trip you, storms that strike without warning. But amid all of this, you still hold one power no one can take away: the power to choose your response. Every time you choose calm over anger, forgiveness over revenge, action over complaint, you are rewriting the story of your life. You are no longer a victim of circumstances, but the author of your own destiny. And that is the core of Stoicism. You cannot control the world, but you can always control how you live within it. As the Stoics remind us, Stoicism does not teach you to avoid the storm. It teaches you how to stand firm within it. When we control our response, we find freedom. When we turn obstacles into opportunities, we find strength. When we live fully in each moment, we find happiness. These are the 12 principles that have guided humanity for thousands of years, and now they can guide you. If you found this journey valuable, leave a like, share this video to spread the spirit of Stoicism, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the lessons to come. Comment below, which principle spoke to you the most? I'd love to hear your story. And remember, the journey does not end here. In the next video, we will continue to explore the profound lessons of Stoicism, lessons that may just change the way you see life.